Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Monday night. It's January 10th, 2022. If we haven't seen you already, Happy New Year. Hope your 2022 is off to a fantastic start. Before we get started on this very special episode of the Drag Illustrated Ride Along, we're checking out the season premiere of Street Outlaws Season 14. Holy cow, they've been doing this a hot minute. We're also going to hang around a little later and watch, I believe, a little bit of the first episode, the season premiere of Farmtruck and Asian's new show. They were on the Wes Buck show last Wednesday, told us all about it. We're very excited. We want to show them some support. We hope all of you will join us. Please do us a favor, click like, click share, smash that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. We appreciate you guys joining us. And it's kind of nice to be back in our usual Monday night time slot. I don't know how many episodes they're going to have of Street Outlaws this year, but we're going to do our absolute best to be here for all of them. We are going head-to-head tonight with the college football championship. So good luck to all you Bulldog fans out there, Bama fans out there. We hope everybody has a good, safe, fun game tonight. Of course, no surprise here. I got the squad with me. The one and only Murder Tundra, JT Hudson, and Mike Carpenter in the house. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Oh man, we're back at it, right?
Did you just pull a Go Sports reference?
Go Sports.
Go Sports, yeah.
Go Sports. I
hope everyone has fun.
Have fun.
As soon as this game's over, Wes is going to tell us who his favorite NCAA football team is, because he always just rides whoever's hot.
Not in college sports, really.
In any sport, basically.
Whatever you think. Well, hey, what's going on, guys? I know Street Outlaws, the season premiere episode, or season 14, has been underway for a little over an hour now. I'm sure you guys have been following along. I've been following along, flipping back and forth between the football game and the season premiere of Street Outlaws, man. And I think I want to just start on the fact, are either one of you guys struggling to wrap your heads around the fact that they've been doing this for 14 seasons?
It's crazy. I mean,
it's not 14 years. They've had multiple seasons, right? So just let's clarify that.
Yeah, it's not 14 years. I think Farmtruck told us on the show last Wednesday that they signed the contract or they started filming in the spring of 2013. Right. So it's not been, it's like 100 years.
They got like two seasons a year. Yeah, if you turned it on before this, there was another Street Outlaws show before that, and then there's of course Farmtruck and Asian after this show. So I mean, Discovery's all in on the Street Outlaws.
They are.
It's almost unbelievable, man. And that's one of the things I think that tonight we will be joined. I believe at some point. Oh wait, we got people piling into the green room right now. We'll have the one and only Lyle Barnett. Huge shout out to our buddy Lyle Barnett on the cover of Drag Illustrated Magazine.
That cover's awesome, Mike.
Tonight, that cover, dude, I
take very little credit for that. That photo from the time we first saw it.
Photo's
awesome.
Like,
we gotta use this thing. Shout out to Justin Stanley, longtime photographer,
Spooled Media, Corey Stamper, that whole crew
here in the Carolinas. So representing all of.
I'm gonna need a poster, Mike, for the wall.
I'll get you one.
Yeah, you are gonna need one. And of course, we will also have Chris Boosted Hamilton on the show here momentarily. We're flipping coins on the street, guys. If you're not following along, be sure check out Discovery Channel. Again, the season premiere, season 14 of Street Outlaws.
Should we just go ahead?
Is back together. Let's. Where's he at?
We got to address some elephants in the room here.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Boosted GT Chris Hamilton.
What's up, dog? I like that shirt too.
You're muted. Boosted. Sorry.
What about now?
Sure is now.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey. How's it going, guys?
Man, it is it's crazy. We were just talking. We've got a couple of things that we've got to address. But the first thing I said to Murder and Mike were, it's crazy to think 14 seasons of this. I mean, did you ever think?
No, I thought it was one and done.
That's what everyone says. That's what Farmtruck and Asian said last week too.
Yeah. Even if you would have told me we were going to go like 3 seasons, I'd have called you a liar. But this is This is amazing. I don't know. I don't understand it, and I don't see no end in sight. So,
and it's not just one show. I mean, it would be one thing to keep a single show going for this time period, but there are like, I can't even. I mean, how many are there? Legitimately, at least a half a dozen.
2, 3, 5. Yeah, I don't. Man, I've lost
15,
count.
16.
There's so many.
There's
so
a lot.
many different ones, but I mean, whatever. You know what? If you like cars, you like racing, you like automobiles, you have like all the options now. So, you know, I'm very happy for Farmtruck and Asian. Like they got their own show to build stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's up, buddy?
Who'd have thought, man? Whoever would have thought?
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I'm curious. We were just talking about this in the green room before we went live, guys. I think we have to address the elephant in the room that is the wing on
a wing
on
a
Big
wing.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Big Chiefs car. What's up, little
We got a
buddy?
guest.
Yeah, that's my guest. That's Coop.
Yep.
He's a special
What's up,
guest.
Coop?
You
What's
got
up,
you got
Coop?
2 for 1 tonight.
It's plus
lucky.
one.
Yeah.
Oh,
plus
he's
1.
gone.
Oh, there
He's
he goes.
gone.
Oh, he's
He's
back.
gone.
Anyways,
How about this wing on the back of Big Chief's car?
A wing
yeah,
and a
I don't
wing.
know. I don't
I like
know
wings.
what's going on. We call it the wang though. It's
The
not-
wang.
It's the wang.
That's no wang. It's a whole lot of wing. That's for sure, man. Jeez Louise. You know what it puts me in the mind of is Harry Ruska's Precision Turbo Pro.
Oh
Line.
yeah,
Remember that car?
That's about
Oh,
the
yeah.
last time we
it
saw
had the
one of
double
those.
decker wing, man. You know, I will say at least it doesn't have like tractor weights on either side of it or something like that. Because
yeah, for sure.
They probably tried to make it as heavy as possible, though. I'm guessing.
I don't know.
So,
I haven't-
maybe a little strategy on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Chief, like, for a while he was trying to find a wind tunnel to stick his car in. Like, this guy, he thinks on like a totally different level. It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing.
He may have been a 2 for 1 deal. Picked up a wing and a beard.
That's right. That's
You know,
right.
a wing.
it might have been that the beard is equally impressive.
Yeah.
The beard is serious. I mean, it's not full lumberjack like you and JT, Chris. But
Speaking
it's
of beards.
Speaking of beard, do we have the beard of all beards here in
Yeah.
the house?
Yeah, you're probably
Beard
gonna get
king.
crap for shaving yours off, Wes.
I know.
I just cut mine today. I actually just got a haircut today. So I was looking kind of homeless actually.
I lack the ability to grow one, so that's just where I stand on that.
And there's Lyle.
What's up, Lyle?
Yeah, but Mike, you have an excuse.
Yeah. What is my excuse?
You can't grow one.
You can't
Oh,
grow-
okay. I thought you were going to tell me why I can't grow one. I'd like to know. I thought maybe you had it figured
Well,
out.
I can tell you that, but those are trade secrets and they cost money. Chris,
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but Wes shaved his beard like a puss.
We got 8 Mile West today.
Gave
Hey,
up
Mile
on it,
West.
man. He gave up on it.
Bro, it's a lot of work. It's like a whole other responsibility. I got
It
2
is.
kids. I got enough to worry
You
about.
ain't got time
business.
for that. You
I
ain't
ain't
got time for no
that,
beard,
man.
Yeah, I get
Nah,
you.
it's
I get you.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't. Lyle, though, you make. I don't know that I ever had a beard by your definition of beard, though. You know what I mean? Like I had
Yeah,
some
but-
shit growing on my face.
Yeah, you
For
had
sure.
something though.
Yeah,
You got something though.
I got a little stubble.
Lyle's beard on the cover of Drag Illustrated, the newest issue, dropped today. It's pretty much like having a whole separate character on the show.
You have that picture in here?
Yeah, I mean,
It's like backlit and like
it's backlit.
glistening.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's just dripping Yingling or what exactly.
It
the deal is.
probably is.
Dripping Yingling.
That's definitely not
Yeah.
the first one I drank that night.
I think I've got it here.
pull
You
that
have to
bad
put it
boy
in
out.
a-
Enough.
What are we seeing here? So, Chris, do you have any background information on this particular show? Like what exactly is unfolding? Because I know sometimes there's like some pressure to like reinvent or so like where are we filming? Do you have any idea where any of this is going down?
Yeah, this is Okima is what it looks like. This looks like it's Okima. That's in Oklahoma. That's like just east of Oklahoma City. It's about 40 minutes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's Okima because that's a golf course. Many of cars have gone in the golf course.
Really?
They do that
That's kind
around
of
here
awesome
too.
though, man. Yeah.
Is that the original spot?
Actually, well, no. Let's see the original spot. Oh my gosh, we've been to Elk City. We've been to just west of Oklahoma City back when the Oklahoma State Troopers actually liked us. we could go out there, but then we pissed them off and they won't let us go there. So then had to stick to like smaller towns. Like Okima loves it. Well, at least they did love it because they were a smaller town and it actually brought someone there, I guess. But this spot, Okima, is not the original. I don't think we went to Okima until like season 5.
I remember early on there was like and this was like speculation or stuff that I was hearing secondhand, but it was like initially the cops were kind of like okay with it because it was taken off and or whatever. It's talking about Oklahoma City, but then there was like this belief that they were being made to like look like fools or something, and they got a little salty. Can you like what all happened with that?
Yeah, so I can remember, I guess whenever we started like basically going and doing illegal test hits and stuff like that and filming it, and then kind of like the cops weren't down with that. Like it kind of made the state troopers look like idiots, you know, and they don't like that. So they got kind of mad and they were just like, all right, that's cool. You can't use our road no more. It's like, oh, all right. our bad. So they weren't cool with that. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. They weren't, eventually we couldn't even, like even the show wouldn't film illegal test hits. You know what I mean? Like at first they're like, hey, do you want to go test? And we're like, okay, yeah, I need to go test. Okay, cool. We're going to film it. And then it got to, hey, I need to go test. You want to film it? And they're like, nah, probably not this time. It's like, okay. So it's just funny how it changes.
All right, guys.
It's crazy, man. All right, what is it? Oh yeah, dude, that does look good.
That's
in
pretty
that
epic.
Beard,
Wow.
A backlit beard.
It's true. It is backlit. Yeah,
You can almost look at that and get pregnant.
You know, I've got a weird sensation in my stomach right now. I mean, it could
I bet it is.
It could be one of yours, Lyle. Oh my god!
Oh boy.
Well, that really is probably one of the best covers I think ever.
We know you don't have that feeling in your beard anymore.
No, I don't have that feeling in my beard.
Well, if you guys had a kid, though, it'd grow hair. So, unlike Mike.
My kid will probably come out with more hair on its face than Mike has. Definitely more than Wes.
That's a good bet, man. That's a good bet.
You know what I think is one of the most impressive things about this whole deal is so many of the original guys are still here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like even Dominator, like all these guys that were a part of it, not all of them, I guess, but I mean, I think almost, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm trying to think of who is.
Well, that's what they started
Derek.
to show out. That's why I asked about Chief opened the show saying something about this being a road that everyone knows very well, and had all the original 405 guys back. So, I mean, the premise of the show is only 5 of these guys, the top 5 at the end of this kind of round robin tournament that they're going to do amongst themselves are going to go on to America's list.
That's right.
So that's the deal here. But they've got how many guys competing? Like 16 or so. So they've got. I mean, it looked like a pretty big ladder that they had initially.
For the 405 list.
Yeah.
I think it was just their top 10, and then they were trying to go for, I thought it was 5 spots, but I could be wrong. I thought that's what they did.
There might have been a few trying to race in.
Yeah,
list, maybe
the ladder they showed. Right. Yeah,
there was more. Huh.
I'm not positive. I was watching the show before. That was I think the show before they were trying to get on, right? Maybe Mike, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. I missed that segment, but I just saw what he was talking about, the road, and then they showed that the top 5 would get in. So, pretty interesting to see, and kind of going back to the original, bringing these guys in and bringing the team aspect in, which I think is something that we've talked about on No Prep Kings. It's controversial. Are we doing team stuff? Are we not? And this is kind of bringing back the whole team scenario.
Yeah, they're for sure.
Agreed.
Chris, how much racing do you get to do now?
Not much. I didn't do very much in 2021, unfortunately. With No Prep Kings, we were gone like every weekend.
Yeah.
So, and it got tough. Like, I mean, I raced when I could, but I didn't race as much as I wanted to. But I don't know. Hopefully I can change that this year. But if we're doing another season of No Prep Kings, then probably not. But I don't know. I would rather race.
It's highly unlikely that that's not happening, right? Like, I mean, to your point earlier, that there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. We talked about this briefly on the show last Wednesday with Farmtruck and Asian, but I mean, pretty much from sun up to sundown, if you thumb past Discovery Channel on your cable guide, it's Street Outlaw something. I mean, it's a cornerstone of their programming. It's almost unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Street Outlaws, Gold Rush, and Deadliest Catch, right? And there's another one that's went for so many seasons. It's unreal, like Deadliest Catch, and they did the same thing with that with a lot of spinoffs. But it seems like the main shows always seem to make it the best,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're like y'all said, man, I never would have thought it would have been still going on, to this day. I probably would have probably quit my job if I'd have known that, but here we are. Still working.
How hard has it been to balance like real life and all these other obligations? And like you said, a career, you have a family, and do this.
Yeah, it's
and embrace this.
It's tough, man. I mean, a good example is, they asked me to go film America's List that they're filming right now down in South Texas. And it just so happens the days that like the first 3 days of filming were kind of the most critical. And I couldn't be down there for those 3 days because I had a big big project at work I had to be there for. And I just couldn't go down there. And they're like, well, you got to be here those 3 days. I'm like, well, I can be there the rest of the month. I just can't be here those 3 days. And they're like, well, we can't do it. Then I was like, all right, cool. It's fine. So I didn't go, I'm here and they're down there racing, which sucks. Like I want to be racing, but it is what it is, man. I feel like my career's maybe a little like a step of, I don't know. I feel like it's a little more important, retirement and all that stuff. Cause you're right. This can end at any point, you never
That's
know.
impressive though, that you're able to keep a job while traveling that much. Oh my God.
What is your career, if you don't mind sharing, or for those that don't know?
Military contractor.
Oh, cool.
So, do like I'm on a certain military program, a certain jet, and when it has issues, our task is to figure out why.
Because you're an engineer, right? Is that right, Chris?
Right.
Yep.
So I have a bat phone on me somewhere. Here it is, right here. Bat phone right here. Got two phones. I think Kevin Gates did a song about that.
Phones.
Yep, he did.
Right.
But mine is not. One is not for the load or the plug or whatever. So I'm not a rapper. But
great song though.
Yeah, but no, that's it, man. I try to save up my vacation and stuff so I can, No Prep Kings is easy because I can just fly in and then fly out on Sunday, right? So it's pretty easy. But other stuff like the Mega Cash Day stuff where you're gone for an entire month,
weeks and weeks at a time, right?
Yeah, that's a little more difficult, but like I can make it happen. I just need advance notice. And obviously if like one of my aircraft at work crash or have an issue, then I have to be at work. So that's kind of what happened this time. It just couldn't get away. Like most time I can telecommute, you know what I mean? But I can't when stuff like that happens. So
that's really interesting, man. I mean, and it is like, I find it interesting because I think it would be a significant challenge to see something like this unfolding in front of you and not just like throwing everything to the wind. You know what I mean? Like controlling yourself, because you see that happen all the time where people are like, man, I got like one break in their favor. And they're like, I'm quitting everything. Screw it.
out.
I'm going all in. And you never want to like discourage people that are like super excited and passionate. But at the same time, I got to be honest, I think a pretty strong case can be made for like slow rolling that a little bit, at least. I mean, you don't want to like spit in the face of opportunity, but at the same time, man, it is TV. It is, you just don't know, especially in this day and age. Like, the whole deal could get canceled because of COVID or something. You just don't know.
You just don't know. And it's just tough to put all your eggs in that basket. You know what I mean? I've missed out on some opportunities to film, and it's probably hurt me, in the long run with more exposure and stuff. But I mean, that's kind of the flip side to having the show is not my job, whereas the show is some of those guys' only job. You know what I mean? Other than, of course, selling merch and doing stuff like that. But, they're all in, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess I've chose a different path or a different I like to have options. So
Yeah, man, I kind of appreciate that. Like, I'm big on that autonomy where I'm like, hey, I still got my stuff. I can still do me. Like, I'm happy to be a part of whatever, but it's really nice to have that option. You know what I mean? Like,
yep, that's right.
so do you, so I was going to ask, like you said, one of the things I've found particularly curious about television and this whole world that you guys are in is how spur of the moment, seat of your pants, very little prior planning. Is that hard to wrap your head around? Like, I think about race promoters that we know, Tyler Crossnow at the PDRA, right? Or the whole gang at NHRA, or everybody at the Midwest Drag Racing Series. They're like laboring over their schedules in September of the year before, right? And then I hear you like, well, if we have no Prep Kings next year, and it's like, what if?
Yeah, you're having
But
it.
I think,
you don't. I don't. Until someone tells me, I don't tell people we're having it. Right? I mean, yeah, I'm sure they want to have it. They're planning on it, and they, if everything goes right, they're gonna have it. But anything can happen. I mean, I hate to say it, it's showbiz, right? But anything can happen with this. You know what I mean? Yep. So until someone tells me, yeah, for sure, we're doing it, here is your schedule, and they email it to me, I'm just like, I don't know, So
it's totally interesting. I mean, I could see that with the with like this show and the street shows, but the shows that have to book in and get in kind of in between the schedule of these tracks that already have a plate.
Yes.
At this point, in mid-January, to not have the schedule. I've asked Wes a couple of times, like, have you heard about a full NPK schedule? Because we've seen a couple of dates pop up, and I mean, I guess you're kind of confirming that really no one has that information right now.
What's funny about that is, so last year, it was the same thing. Everybody's like, where's the schedule? And there's like a couple Facebook groups where some of these people on this Facebook group went to like all the individual tracks schedules and somehow like pieced this schedule together. Because the track, was posting up, August 23rd, Street Outlaw, no Prep Kings.
Right.
And it's funny, like the schedule they built was pretty damn close to what the real schedule was. And they were like, yep, this is what we found. And the real schedule didn't come out for like a couple months later. And it's like, man, they knew
we've done some of that on our end. Full disclosure that
that's fine. No,
we've done some of that to try to piece together a little bit of the schedule.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just, some of this stuff, like we said, it doesn't get set in stone. I mean, a good example is like the race at Pacific Raceways. It got totally canceled last year. We were supposed to go up, I think it's in Seattle or Portland or wherever it's at. We never made it.
Seattle.
It got canceled. So,
right.
Stuff like that can happen.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the first race of last season, and it got canceled. And then ended up being the first race was in National Trail.
Yep, Ohio. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep.
Y'all starting Bradenton this year? Is that right?
I don't know.
Starting Florida?
No clue.
Oh yeah, guess not.
That's hilarious.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't know. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that's what
I hate when we don't get. I will say just a little throw this in there about the show. I hate not being able to see burnouts. Gosh, I hate when they do that. I mean, I get it. Time, got to tighten it up. But I'm just such a burnout guy that I need to see. I mean, we saw Chiefs burnout. They're very selective. Oh, man. Ryan's shit looks fast. That looked fast. That looked like a good, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That looked like a good lap right there. Right lane by a hood, says Big Chief. It's good to see all these guys on TV, man. It really is. Again, like it seems like it's been a minute since we've seen Big Chief, or I'm not as used to seeing him.
And what's crazy is like Dave's car is not slow by any means.
No.
And, Ryan Ryan's car to the 330 is fast. It's real fast. But yeah, it's hard to compete with Ryan. They definitely have their stuff together. Like they have a great program. Anywhere they go, like they have it locked down.
It's mighty impressive, man. It really is.
Well, we talked about this not long ago about how when you guys started and you kind of had your own individual camps and everybody kind of tuned their own stuff and maybe even built half of their own shit. Well, like anything else, when the money starts coming in and they start paying these big purses, you start bringing all these high profile and high class, world class tuners in and stuff. And that's what you get, you know, and Ryan spends money in the right place. I mean, not saying nobody else does, but in all honesty, he should be the fastest one out there, in my opinion. I mean, that's
you're right.
The way it is.
Money follows money, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's right. And you're right, man. I mean, a lot of these guys, when we first started, they were all in their shops building their own stuff, doing their own tuning, you know, kind of doing their own thing. And I don't know. I'm still stuck there. Maybe that's my problem.
You had your hot rod out over the weekend. That thing sounds good. And how'd going racing go?
I guess it was last weekend. I got the yellow car back going. It makes that little small block makes a lot of power, but you know, that thing hasn't been on the street in a long time. And I mean, it probably makes, you know, 500 more horsepower since the last time it was out. So it's kind of hard to, like, I'm going to have to test again to get it back where it was to try to kind of control it. But no, man, it's running good. It's got a nice top end. That's for sure. It definitely pulls up top. So
yeah, I can't remember. I saw, was it a GoPro video or something that I saw of you driving back around somebody?
Yeah.
And it was full sketch. I mean, it was it was all over the place down low. I think maybe you pedaled it or 37 times.
Yeah,
and then
a couple times.
And then you just go scooting right around it, and it's like.
So what's funny about that? That was in Austin, of course, on the street, and it was about 28 degrees, somewhere in there. Very cold. It was cold.
Ideal for drag race.
Yeah. Oh, and there was about a 25-mile-an-hour north wind as well. So it was windy and cold. And yeah, I mean, it was skating. I was pedaling it. And then what's funny is probably about midway down the road, I can still see the car over here in the right lane. And then my visor comes down. I'm one of those guys that don't put the visor down like an idiot. Anyways, it came down and it's all fogged up. And I'm like, ah! So I pretty much just had Jesus take the wheel at that point. And, you know, it's all good. You know, so but we were able to pull it out, man. It just finally stuck. I don't know. Like I said, that's one of the things I got to work on is down low, getting that thing to leave. But I mean, up top, it seems like it's okay.
How big a tire's on the back of that thing? Because it's not like a 10-inch tire, but it's a 10.5 small tire.
Yeah,
is
the yellow
it a 10.5? Okay.
Yeah, yellow car runs a 10.5. Now on the street, we stick a 29.5 on it on the street, but it'll work with a 28 as well, or at least it used to on the street. It's been a while since I've been on a 28 on the street with that car, but like at the track, we'll run just a 28 10.5 at the track with it, like on a no prep or something. So,
what's on the back of Beer Money, Lyle?
28 10.5.
Yeah.
It won't quite hold a 29.
We're gonna get a grudge race set up here before it's all said and done.
Oh God,
they're calling for it in the comments.
Yeah, they are.
All that. Just haul your shit with you to one of the No Prep Kings events, and we'll just little mid race.
I need to pick in that case. I need to pick like the shittiest track we go to, which is none. So
which is none. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Lyle's car's cool, man. It runs good. It looks like a hunk of shit, and it runs great. Like,
perfect. It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate race car.
That's part of his hustle. I get it. No, that's a cool car.
Look, man, we're on a public forum here. Don't give away all my secrets.
Oh, sorry, my bad. It's slow as shit, guys. Y'all should call it out.
Don't you think it's crazy though that how you carried on this the Beer Money thing, man? Like the building that car on Horsepower Wars, right? Shout out to our buddy James Lawrence out there on the left coast, out on the west coast. I don't think any car from that show or anything from that whole deal has had the staying power that
which
Beer
I
Money
think
has
is
had.
ridiculous. Like, yeah, they literally, if you won with the exception of the season when we brought the missile home too, when everybody's cars burn up, like anybody that won on that show got to keep their race car for free. I mean,
oh shit,
I mean, there was obviously a month's worth of man hours and you time away from your family, so there were expenses elsewhere. But when you won the show, you got a free race car. Like, here you go. And nobody did anything with it. And I'm like,
crazy.
I find it weird, man.
Like, here, and all of them, by the time, if you won, you had a decent running race car. I mean, when we left Norwalk, Beer Money was running like 550s or something to the 8th, which is not slow and for something you build in 10 days, you know.
No.
And obviously we've refined that since then, but
Yeah, a little
it's
bit.
I think it's in the 540s. I heard.
oh yeah, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Been a best of 39.
540s.
Yeah.
So I actually heard it slowed down. He's running like a 6.0 bracket class with it, which is crazy.
That's
And then-
Super competitive, deadly consistent, can do it anywhere.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's too funny, man.
Yeah.
Curious, do you there's perhaps no one that we've ever spoken to on any of these public forums, as Lyle called them, that could speak to the difference between going and racing no prep at a drag strip and being out on a street, right? We obviously are not here to condone illegal street racing or anything like that, but obviously, like, the environment, and let's be honest, let's be authentic and tell the truth. Like, anybody who's ever done that knows that there's an electricity and an environment like none other that I don't know that can even be replicated really at a drag race. I mean, I'm just curious, could you expound kind of a little bit, Chris, on that topic? Just the difference between the two and those that, and maybe your personal feelings on it?
Yeah, man. Like, I know a lot of these tracks try to do like the backwards track stuff to simulate the street, but it's just something about everybody's crowded around the starting line, you know, and you pull up to the burnout and you're on this dark ass road, and I don't know, man, like
moving people.
Yeah, like, get out of the way so I can do my burnout, you know, and it's just totally unsafe. You know, it's just completely like, that's just the unsafe part about it, but it's just the like adrenaline hits you. But, you know, there's certain things like when I race, I make sure that, you know, if there's people in front of the starting line, like I'm not making a pass, right? I mean, I've seen one too many videos of bad stuff happening. So, like, I don't want to call it the Wild West, but there are precautions that, you know, at least that I participate in the street stuff that we take, right? Obviously, we're not on a highway doing dumb shit like that, but I don't know, man. It just, when you pull out on there and you do your burnout and you're backing up, and I don't know, it's just something about it that kind of the adrenaline gets you. You just have to experience it. I guess
it's like the scale. We talk about that a lot, running pro mods to the 8th mile at like the biggest quarter mile track. It just loses some of its scale. I don't know. That's the best way to describe it. So you take a car, you take that same race that you just had on the street and put it at ZMAX Dragway or something like that. And it just doesn't look anything the same to probably you inside the car or the people watching. So it really, the surrounding environment of these races is a big deal.
We're crazy to think the stage and the setting doesn't matter, right? Yeah. I mean, like, you're crazy to think that. Like, if you're throwing a rock concert, if you're any type of event of any type, the stage, the setting, it matters. Like, Woodstock wouldn't have been Woodstock if it was inside the Sprint Center, right? You know, it needed to happen in a freaking muddy field, right? I mean, I think sometimes people get really sensitive about this stuff, and everybody gets up in arms in a big hurry, and I get it. But, like, the fact of the matter is, drag racing was built on the back of outlaws and badasses and whatever else. So it's hard to, I don't know. This is kind of what our deal is in a lot of ways. Like, I get it, you know, and I understand. I would never, you know, give anybody a hard time for being like staunchly against it. I get it. You're probably right. You know what I mean? You are right. But I guess I think it's just part of it. I mean, it literally, the stage, the setting, all those things matter. And we were talking about 2 cars, a dimly lit industrial area.
If lit at all.
If lit at all. I mean, it's hard to say there's a better place for a gunfight to go down.
That's right. And, you know, like the track, I mean, I can tell I've been down some pretty crappy no prep tracks, and just something about the street, like, you're in there wheeling that thing. Like, it's not like a Cadillac down through there. It's just not, right? If you're making any type of power. So, you know, just something about it.
Yeah, it's this.
It separates the drivers, that's for sure.
It really does, man. I mean, Brett Kepner, legendary drag racing historian, penned this article probably 2 decades ago now, And it was talking, I remember it was, I think the title of the article was "The Rule That Would Change Everything." And it was him making a case for no wheelie bars in drag racing at all, in any class. But his argument, it was really focused on the fact that almost all popular sports, everything is built on violence and chaos, right? Like
True.
the gladiators back in the Roman Empire, like it was violent, and it was the NFL, right? I mean, we're seeing the NFL. I mean, it's, they want the hard hits and all. They don't want that, but I mean, that's what draws people to it, right? Is that contact and slamming into each other and the violence. Pro wrestling, UFC. I mean, the list goes
NASCAR,
on.
the last couple laps.
NASCAR, the last few laps, people banging into each other, rubbins racing. And drag racing, and it makes sense. It's been logical, right? This progression to get the cars quicker, faster, safer, whatever. But the violence has dissipated year after year after year after year. The violence and the chaos continues to dissipate. And I think that's like whenever I was at Street Outlaws in the No Prep Kings event, at the Texas Motorplex in Dallas back in October, what I saw was chaos and violence. I mean, the cars are moving a car length side to side, bouncing off the wall, looping out. I mean, there was just a lot of violence and a lot of chaos, and people follow violence and chaos. Sorry, whether it's a Waffle House or a drag race, you know what I mean? People tend to follow violence and chaos, man.
Yep. Like the old saying goes, I think, what is it? Drama sells, right? So if it's entertaining, it's going to sell. People want to see it. They want to see that type of stuff. So, you're right. And street racing's no different. Someone's going to go over the curb. Someone's going to end up in a field. It's just bound to happen with that stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I don't know. All I can say is it definitely separates the drivers. That's for sure.
What do you think the likelihood of, now barring that everything continues on with No Prep Kings and everything else, if all that continues, we've already seen a little bit of it. Do you think we're going to continue to see, we've all been kind of waiting with bated breath to see which one of the hardcore heavyweight drag racers, be it Stevie Jackson, be it somebody else, makes their kind of dives headfirst into the No Prep Kings world. Are you surprised there hasn't been more people showing up in those, like just the open big tire class, for instance?
No, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, all those guys want to get into the big show, right? But, it's been the one thing I'll tell you is the producers have been really good about keeping, the big, like what Lyle said, the big money guys from coming in. I mean, if they haven't been no prep racing, street racing, stuff like that, and they just want to come show up and jump into the $40,000 race, like that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? So if they want to race, they come in the outlaw big tire class and race. And if you show up to a bunch of races and show that you're committed to the series, then maybe you get that next step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think it's not from a lack of those guys wanting to come, because they do. They want to come. I mean, like you said, it's a lot of money to win. Oh my God, 40,000 times 15. It's a lot of money. So,
yeah, it's a lot of money. There ain't no doubt about it, man. Curious, do any of these deals have money on them? The races we're watching on TV, guys? Is there side bets, or how does this work? Does anybody know?
Sometimes these guys will side bet each other, but for the most part, like this stuff here, there's no money really. Like if you win, you don't get any money. Like it looks like this little round robin tournament is for like the next step, right?
Right.
So, which don't get me wrong, if you get into the next show, like there's money involved there. Of course, you're paid to go do the show. So the incentive is there to do really well in this round robin thing, just from another show standpoint.
Tell us an old school story. Tell us, I think it was at Cash Days St. Louis that kind of got some of this all started when 13 Videos showed up at that one. Was that one of the first kind of like this deal's starting to get some word or whatever, people are talking about it?
Man, honestly, like before St. Louis, we had done several Cash Days, but it's funny you said, think of an old school story, and that is the one that popped in my mind before you said anything was St. Louis.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Because that was like, man, Wes, we used to race for like a $200 buy-in, you know, a $2,800 or 3,000 pot. And we were like, my God, this is so much money. If we win this, man, I'm going to change this and this and this. And like, we were so happy.
And we're going to
race.
Applebee's.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, like, the money was so big back then, that $2,800, that even those of us that were like far removed from it would get like a screenshot text to us of like a bunch of 5s, 10s, and 20s laid out on probably Boosted's truck bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever. And it's like, look at all, they're racing for this tonight in Earth City or whatever, you know? It's so crazy, man. It's literally so crazy.
But man, it was that St. Louis race was the first race that the buy-in was $1,000. And I think back then at that time, man, I was like fresh out of college and I had just started my first job, like actual outside of college. So $1,000, I was like, man, woo. And anyways, like that was the race where it was a quarter mile. I think it was a quarter mile race.
Wow.
Which was on the street.
It's insane.
But I was like one of the few, I think I was the only turbo car. So I was like, hell yeah, this is ours to win. These piece of shit nitrous cars are not going to make it a quarter mile. And if they do make it past the 8th mile, we're going to pass them because we're going to have like 30 mile an hour on them. Well, so I pulled the brown sugar car from Kentucky. And man, at the 8th mile, we were like super gap. I mean, I was beating the crap out of them. And then my transmission line decided to blow out because back then, you know, I was kind of a cheap bastard. And I had push lock, like rubber push lock on the transmission. And so, of course, it blew out and threw transmission fluid everywhere. And, man, I was all over the place, like on the curb.
There's a video on YouTube. If you haven't seen it,
dude,
it's curved
I have
wall.
not seen this, and I am definitely going to watch it.
You got to look at it. And, like, I barely missed the 30 mile an hour speed limit sign, probably doing $120 or however fast I was going. I don't know. It might have been like 400 feet. It might not have been quite the 8th mile, but, dude, like it was – I had to change underwear. I don't know, man. I crashed like 4 times without crashing. I don't know how. But and also I ruined the road because transmission fluid was everywhere. Like it covered the road. And
that was like the biggest drama of the whole deal. It's like, well, the spot's junk.
Yeah,
like we can't race here maybe ever again.
They canceled the event because of me because I messed the road up. They had no other roads. So I was the guy. But I lost, of course, because I crossed. So I was out the $1,000. I was like, man. But
we ain't going back to St. Louis, boys.
No, man. We actually did some filming over in St. Louis probably about 2 years ago, and I went back to that road, and it's still there, but it's got double jumps, triple jumps. It's got some whoops in it now. Like those trucks have destroyed. I was like, man, I don't remember this road being this rough. Oh, it's rough now.
No, but it's crazy, man. If you think about that is like the origin story, that brand of racing is what kind of set all of this stuff in motion. It's kind of unbelievable, man. It is. And I know, like I said, people are super sensitive about these things, racing on the street. And I totally understand. And we're absolutely not, proponents. But I do appreciate what all of the jumping off point that was and where this deal has gotten since then.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch this show and I see all these guys that are like earning a living drag racing. I mean, there are very few people in the NHRA that are able to earn a living, like pay their bills going drag racing.
It's the top, sometimes, some of the guys lose sight of that. Like, they got to understand they're in the top 1%. It's got to be 1% of people that race in the world, right? That they're in because they're able to make a nice living racing, drag racing, and have the things they want and have multiple cars and, able to generate a side business from drag racing, right? So, I just try to keep that in mind to try to keep grounded. Like you're in that 1%, the top tier, like where people want to be. So it's amazing.
It's pretty amazing, man. It really is. it hit a pot or something. We're down to like what the final. So JT or Mike, can either one of you explain to me like where we're at in the show and what's going on?
Man,
Nope.
I pulled up YouTube. I'm looking for this video. That's what I've been doing for the past couple minutes.
I'm trying to write. So I'm trying to figure. Oh man, he is mad. He's mad. She says
They're still doing the round robin stuff.
Okay.
And see, Muranova's 0-2. Like every loss he knows is bad, right? Because there's a chance he may not make the list that's going to go to the next show.
And he was so dominant for so long.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. And that's the problem with this. Like one thing I try to tell people, like sometimes these shows, if you're struggling one night, you may lose 3 races. And they air it on here, and it's like, man, every week, he's struggling. It's like, whoa, that was all on the same night. Like,
right.
You know what I mean?
And there's not a lot of lead time, right? I mean, to get your stuff ready or test or whatever. I mean, there's probably a couple weeks or something that they've got heads up before they're filming this.
It depends. I mean, a good example, like America's List, which is filming right now. I think I got the text like the 20. No, it was probably the 22nd or 23rd. Like, hey, need you down in South Texas on the 3rd of January. It's like, oh, all right. It's like 10 days. But I mean, it's fine. Like that's the nature of production. They pick their windows they can film, and it's like I said, it's up in the air up until the last minute. It's kind of.
I think Dave was talking about that on here.
Yeah, it just kind of is what it is, and you don't like. There's no sense in complaining about it. It's just the nature of the beast, right? So you always almost have to stay ready. You think you're going to make big changes in the wintertime, but you kind of got to be careful. You got to make sure that those changes you're making, you can, have a car ready pretty quickly in case they decide
You
they want
think
to do
part of the reason they have to do that is so that nothing gets leaked out and there's not just crowds of people that try to show up wherever you guys are going to end
I
up?
think it's more to do with the business with Hollywood, like green lighting. Like, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I was actually going to ask that question. If you can give us some insight as to how that works, as far as Pilgrim pitching the show, maybe they've got a new idea. Discovery green lights it. They get the crew together, and they've got like just a couple weeks to get this thing going. Like, is that they're constantly pitching new shows and new ideas and waiting for them to get greenlit, and then once they do, it's like we got to do it now. Yeah,
exactly. Like Pilgrim's the one that sells the show to Discovery. So you're exactly right. Like sometimes there's some shows up in the air. Pilgrim's like, I want to try this, or we want to try this idea, and then Discovery's like, yeah, we'll try it. We need it. When can you give it to us? It's like, oh, okay.
So then everybody jumps into action.
Yeah,
top to bottom. So it's really not a planned deal. It's just the nature of being kind of in show business, really.
And then there's some other stuff. Like there's some other things that go in. Like especially with the street stuff. If we're not filming in Okemah, like if we go to a different street, like you got to work that with the local municipalities, and the safety team from Pilgrim has to make sure the road's okay. Like there's so many steps and things that have to be in place just to get this going. It's quite amazing actually to do what they do.
So like this place you keep referring to, Okemah, how long do you suppose they shut it down to film? Like, I mean, is this like nobody's stuff leaves, like your truck trailer stays there?
No. It's every night.
Goes?
I think we have to be done on this road by 4 a.m. So at 4 a.m., like at the end of the road down there, it's blocked off with like hay bales and big giant water barrels, because I think Doc went flying across the road at one point. So they're like, all right, we're going to put hay bales down here now. So like right now, how they're racing down the road at the very end, it's blocked off, and there's cops and fire trucks and stuff down there. But at 4 a.m., all those people leave, and they're like, all right, the road is no longer shut down. Y'all get out of here. And we'll see you tomorrow, or we'll see you day after tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What time of night do they normally let you guys take over?
So the road gets shut down, I think at like 4 in the afternoon, maybe 4:30, and maybe a little later, but somewhere in there, right before it gets dark. And then they tell us to show up at like 7. We try to have a driver's meeting by 9. And then sometimes the driver's meeting takes forever. like forever. Sometimes those drivers meetings are like an hour and a half. I'm like, my God,
Really?
what are we doing? Oh yeah, but they cut a lot of it out. Like sometimes I don't know. We start getting off tangents, like down rabbit holes of stuff, and we don't shut up. But it's pretty funny.
Like our conference calls.
Yeah,
That's probably like gold for them, though. I mean, they're trying to get you guys on camera and get the whole group and interacting. So they're like, let's let this go as long as humanly possible so we get as much content.
Yep.
All right. So who's the guy in the white Camaro that I'm not thinking I'm very familiar with?
That's Damon Merchant. He's from I think south of Oklahoma City a little bit. It's a Pro Charge Camaro. It's a pretty quick car.
It's a good looking car.
Yeah, it looks
It
real
is
good.
good looking.
Yeah, it looks real good.
Okay, I thought Big Chief and him were racing. So it's that guy versus Ryan Martin right here. Looks like it'll probably be our last race of the night.
Looks like it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a little fogging issue here.
Yeah, they're fogging up bad, aren't they?
So
Yeah.
that tells me it's pretty late in the night. Like
Yeah.
it's probably getting close. Like look at the side of the car there, all the dew on the side of it. But yeah, it's probably 3 a.m. or so. It's getting late because I know in the summertime it starts getting very dewy. Like later on, like early in the mornings, 3 a.m., something like that, the dew starts getting real bad.
This is a great comment from Luke Stevens. Please say someone tells people, roads closed, pizza boy. Damn street racers. That's like the greatest line ever.
It is good.
Yeah, it is good.
How do they pick like the location in Texas for the show that's filming now? Because I know they've kind of moved around. Do they move around for a reason, or they need to, or have to, or?
Well, so with it being the middle of winter, right? We have to find roads that are where it's not going to be
Not
20
frozen.
degrees. Yeah, exactly. So obviously, further south we go, it's warmer, right? Whereas if they were trying to do the America's List on Okema, the chances of snow, ice, whatever could impact production, right? So they don't want to. Because every day there's delays. That's more days they have to pay the crew to be there. It's, you start production company, they're in it to make money, of course. So you don't want to take away from the bottom line with delays like that. So
So it's really just weather.
yeah,
determined.
weather related stuff.
So
like
you'll
that,
go
yeah.
to like, Northwest areas that they went earlier this year in the summer, and then
In the summer.
southern locations in the winter, just pretty much all
Right.
weather determined.
So like the Mega Cash Days race was in Nebraska, but that was filmed, early September. Whereas if we tried to go to Nebraska now, oh my God, like it would be put the chains on because we're going snow racing or ice racing or whatever. You know what I mean? So
I talked to Sam last week about where they're filming right now. I think I might go. I'm not sure. It's like I had I can't remember who it was. Somebody shot me a text and was like, "Hey man, are you gonna? They're filming in Texas. Are you gonna go?" And I'm like, "Well, Texas is like a big state.
it's about 7 hours
Like,
from here. Better start driving.
So and I don't know where. And it's just so funny, that it's just a big state. And whenever I find out like where this stuff's going on, it's like, oh, that's like a million miles away. Like that may as well be in a foreign land.
They are.
It's so funny.
We always say we're street racing in Mexico, right? We're racing in Mexico. That means street racing. They are literally almost racing in
Almost to
Mexico.
Mexico, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's quite interesting, man.
Me and
It
Wes
really
went to pick
is.
up a Corvette down in San Antonio. Is that where we're going?
Yeah.
And we get to Dallas, and I'm like, shit, we got this whipped.
We're almost there.
We were like halfway, man. I was like, what?
I looked over at
Yeah.
T and he's like, "Hey man, we're in Dallas. We got this whip." And I said, "Really not yet.
Yeah.
No, we
I was
don't
like,
back
have
to sleep.
this.
It's only one more
Yeah.
inch.
It's only another inch." Yeah. Hey, thank you.
That's how I felt my first trip to Missouri. T. We
Missouri
drove
was
from North Carolina, and I knew we were going to Missouri. I forget where we were going, Topeka,
Uh-huh.
and we hit St. Louis. We hit St. Louis, and I was like, "Oh damn, we're there!"
Oh yeah, no.
And then there's that trip all the way across I-70, right?
And that
Is
trip
that
does
the
suck
road?
across I-70. Yeah.
Yes.
All the way to Kansas
That's
City.
a rough.
I nearly lost my mind. I thought we were like in some kind of Twilight Zone or some shit, Bermuda Triangle, and we weren't going to get there.
Driving across Kansas is even worse. So, I mean, like you have to go clear across
it's rough.
Kansas. It's rough.
Yeah, it's real rough.
Lyle,
Chris,
I just got a message from Kevin Williams that says, "Man, I just saw the DI cover, best one I've ever seen. He's my hero."
Thanks, Kevin.
pretty cool.
Chris,
It
I
is
know that
pretty
the
bad.
show would make you think that if you're not familiar with the no prep scene, that the show would make you think that big tire is the prominent class in no prep, period. Now, at least for us in the Southeast, big tire no prep racing is like all but
Dead.
non-existent. Like it's all 28, 10, 5. Not even like you go to Memphis if you want to race on a 29, right? Like you don't bring no 29s over here and run small tire. But out there with y'all, is it still? Are you guys predominantly small tire based, or is it more big tire out there? I don't go anything east of Memphis or west of Memphis. So
it's mainly small tire here too, man. I'll be honest with you. The only big tire action I really see is no prep kings. Like other than that, like there's no real big tire races that I like. I mean, of course the Pro Mod class and stuff like that, but even big tire street racing, like it's just non-existent. Like where do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they have, we have Dig or Die out here at Rockingham, which is right down the road, not far from where I'm at. And there's more cars in daily driver than there are in the big tire class at Dig or Die. Now, obviously the small tire class can have upwards of 200 cars, right?
Of course. Yeah.
But the big tire class is, I mean, there might be, even at that race, they're paying, I don't know, 10 grand or something, or 5 grand or whatever. There might be 8 or 9 cars, and some of those are daily drivers or double entered small tire cars that just want to jump in at a chance. And there's been small tire cars that win the big tire class, right? Just that have double entered,
That's so funny. No, it's the same here, man. It's mostly like small tire racing is huge here too. Like a lot of like no time stuff at the track is real big here. XRP and Ennis, both real good surfaces, and no time on 28s is a real big here. So
I know you're not going to believe this, but Ryan won.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, man. Watching him, the way he ran, I mean, obviously, No Prep King is very competitive, but like watching him against everybody else tonight, like they're on a different. I wonder how many of these guys are going to be maybe clamoring to participate in No Prep Kings. I know it's a different car, but you can't deny that making runs and learning and racing and being in the, you know what I mean? Like that, it is an advantage. I mean, Ryan Martin's seeing the racetrack and making runs like it would appear 3-4 to 1. You know what I mean?
40
over
grand
most of these guys.
every time he does it.
Yeah.
One thing to note, like that road is a good road down low, but I'm gonna tell you, at about 450 feet, it's bumpy. It's bumpy as shit. It's a bumpy ass road. Like it's hard to tell in the videos, but like see the patches of concrete and stuff. Like that's not smooth. Right, that ain't smooth. I mean, that left lane's bumpy. So
and you've heard him talk about the right lane like a couple times.
They're both like they're just
being better, I guess.
Yeah, right? the right lane's a little more smoother, but it's bumpy too. Like they're both bumpy. Like you start getting out there, and then when you get on the brakes and the back end's like bouncing, and then you can hear it like hitting, like hitting the ground and sparks flying everywhere.
Like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to an NHRA national event?
I have.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, I have.
Where did you go? Did you go to Dallas or Houston?
I went to Ennis. Yep. That was
okay.
So I went to the one. I don't know if you remember, but Shannon Morgan had a class there.
I remember it really well. Oh, you raced at it.
Here's the best story. Oh man,
I forgot. Yeah.
So the night before, we raced on a Friday. The night before, I went to Yellow Belly, which this was back when Yellow Belly was just a giant piece of shit. Like the surface was terrible. That it was just there's trees out there. And anyways, I found myself off-roading at some point past the finish line at Yellow Belly in my yellow car. And so I'm like, well, I get it back home. I'm like, well, everything looks good. Well, I go out to Ennis the next day for her class, and I go to launch because eliminations is, I think you don't get a test pass. It's just straight to eliminations. And I launch, and all of the Yellow Belly dirt and
I actually remember this.
And sticks and everything that were under my car just like deposited on the track in a cloud of just like I look like Pigpen when Pigpen walks and there's clouds everywhere. Like that was me going down the track, and it totally just like
that's funny.
Destroyed their surface. And I was like, hey guys, sorry about that. And
You see that
and
drag week a lot. You know, remember
Yeah.
drag week? There's all kinds of rocks and dirt and stuff up there on the line.
I remember that because that was part of the NHRA, and I applauded this movement and their effort to they were kind of trying to bridge the gap. You know, they'd pissed all the Street Outlaw fans off.
Yeah.
You know, by revoking people's licenses and all that deal that happened. And so then they went on this multi-year campaign to win everybody back. And they're going, oh, you know, we're going to have a fuel altered show at this race. And we're going to have nostalgia, funny cars at this race. We're going to have outlaw pro mods at this race. And we're going to have Shannon Morgan's redemption series at this race. And it was, I appreciate it. It was cool, but it was also you can't expect these outlaws to come in. Scott Abramson right here. He's an NHRA official. He goes, I remember cleaning that up.
sorry,
That's
Scott.
hilarious. Sorry, Scott. Great guy.
My bad.
But I remember that. But it's tough because you can't expect those guys hey, that they can't turn it off. You know what I mean? He drove this car through the weeds last night. You know what I mean? It just is what it is.
I mean,
you know?
I went from Yellow Belly, the most outlaw track in Texas, to Ennis in a matter of a day, right? I mean,
Right.
sorry about that.
Oh, I think it's hilarious, man. I really do. I really do, man. All right. Well, hey, Boosted, we've had you on here for a hot minute, and I know you got to take care of the little man coop. Deserves some of your attention. Before we see the show end and the next show start, I want to talk just briefly about, I think, all of our friends, Farmtruck and Asian. How happy are you for those guys to see them have turned this whole deal into what they've turned it into without necessarily having a pro mod or the fastest car in the world or whatever? Being part of that brotherhood and that fraternity, man, is it cool to see them get their own show and kind of get their shot to be the center of attention?
Oh yeah, of course, man. You know, Farmtruck and Asian, they have their own niche in the Street Outlaws, right? I mean, they don't have the fast cars, but what they brought to the table was very entertaining. I like both those guys. They're great at what they do. They're very entertaining, and they have some pretty crazy builds. I mean, some stuff they think of is man, how'd they think of that? You know what I mean? And it's cool for them to get their own show so they can actually show more of what they can do, because they were only limited to a small segment in the normal Street Outlaw stuff. And now with the America's List stuff, there's nowhere for them to be there. So, they deserve their own show to really show what they can do, because they got some brilliant guys and they've got some great ideas. So I'm happy for them. They more than deserve it.
Agreed 100%, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Chris. We'll do this again soon.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
Anytime.
it a ton, man. Can't wait to see you out at the racetrack very soon. If you go tearing up some spot in Austin or somewhere nearby, shoot me a text. I'll come see you.
Well, hell, Wes, I test probably about 20 minutes from you. So if you ever want to come out and watch me test and bounce off a curb, you're more than welcome.
All right. Well, just text me when you're going. Text me when you're going, and I'm coming with.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Hey, thanks a bunch.
See you, man.
Appreciate
Later,
you,
Mike.
buddy.
See you, Murty. Later, Lyle.
See you, man. Have a good one.
Yep.
See you, buddy,
Bye.
man.
Yep.
I made that beer can, by the way, Lyle.
It sounded like
What
it
beer?
banged right off the side
He
of the
texted
can.
me and said, "You missed that?" And I'm like, "No."
Stan Waxberg, did I hear a Coors opening? Yeah, man. It's
Yeah, you
it
did.
almost sounds like you have your Coors Light mic'd up. You know what I mean?
Does
It's
it?
like the swish.
I've been working
You know
on
how
that
they
for
mic
years.
It's the
You know how they
perfect
mic
sound.
up the basket, at NBA games, so you can
Yep.
hear the swoosh.
Mhm.
That's pretty much how it sounded. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, QA1. They're a supporter of us at Drag Illustrated. Penske. I like checking out all the brands that are being represented. Nitrous Express. What's on the hat? 405. What is that? BMRS.
Yeah,
Safe
Brown and
Craft,
Miller.
Fire. Brown and Miller.
New advertiser with Drag Illustrated.
Brand new advertiser at Drag Illustrated. Heat Shield Products, another one of our partners. Safe Craft.
What I think is crazy,
Oh yeah,
these guys,
they drive this thing. I forgot about
you
this.
watch the show and everyone thinks that these guys are just out of their minds, right? And then the interview we had with them last week, it's 180 degrees from what you see.
Dude,
on the
you'd
show.
think these guys
Oh my God.
are rocket
Did you see that, Lyle,
scientists.
last week?
What?
The episode
Farmtruck
we
and
did
Asian
last
on?
Wednesday, Lyle, I'm telling you, dude, go watch it. The whole thing is spectacular because I'm on it, obviously. But also there in the middle, there's an hour stretch that I think that was one of the best interviews that we've ever done. Do you agree? I mean, that was
as far as like insight
10.
and content. Oh my God, yeah,
dude. I mean, they are so sharp, and to think about, like, this is calculated. You know what I mean? Like, what they're doing, it's calculated, and they are well aware of. It's just, it's very,
yeah. They didn't want to go build the fastest no prep car. They didn't want to build the fastest vehicle to get on the list anymore. I mean, they're happy doing what they're doing.
Yeah, it's smart. So it's smart on their part.
Interpreting this, I'm interpreting this as Farmtruck and Asian meet Monster Garage. Is that what you guys are kind of?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
It was like Chris said a while ago. They kind of found their niche, and they just nestled right in there, and have stayed the course. And it worked. Or
they'll have Jeff
continues to work.
I mean,
they'll have Hey, you know what I would do? It'd be like, hey man, Jeff, I'm gonna run and grab us some pizza, maybe like some sodas, etc. And when I get back, could you have put this camper on a Astro van chassis? Go ahead and get that knocked out, and I'll be back in like 3, maybe 4 weeks. It's pretty impressive, man. Welcome to the party, Herd One. Stan Waxberg. Wes, are you or someone else putting on the Orlando show before the Gators this year? Stan, no, we're not going to do the World Door Summer Nationals this year. It's a bummer. It's an event that means a lot to us. I don't think that ship has sailed necessarily, but if you're a student of the NHRA world, you'll notice that for the first time in, I'm thinking, multiple decades, I'm not enough of a historian to say with certainty, but historically, there's always been a 2-week gap between the NHRA national event in Phoenix and the next event, the NHRA Gator Nationals. For reasons unbeknownst to me and my team, they have tightened that window to 1 week. So they pretty much squashed the opportunity that used to exist on that date for us.
I wonder what that's about. No, it really could just be as simple as, I think Pomona is a week later, right?
Pomona's a week later. Everything it's
benefit of the doubt. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But it was a tough situation for us because whenever Mike and I did this, we started going around and asking teams like, hey, what do you think about race, 3 weekends, 4 weekends, potentially 5 weekends in a row? Pretty much every pro stock team looked at us and was like, we want to come support you, but we would struggle to commit to it right now. Like we would have to kind of think about it. And as Lyle can attest to, there's been total disarray in the NHRA Pro Mod world for the better part of the last couple of years. And it was hard for us to go, you know what? It makes perfect sense to run an NHRA legal Pro Mod race with a crazy amount of money involved. So anyways, we decided to kind of let the dust settle, let things kind of sort themselves out, and we'll figure out what we want to do a little later in 2022. I think, Mike, JT, myself, we're all very passionate about putting on races. We feel we're very good at it. But at the same time, we've also had some really honest conversations with one another about, like, is this good for the sport? Like there's tons of great races going on right now. I mean, we're a couple of weeks away from Victor Alvarez's U.S. Street Nationals in Bradenton. We're like a little over a month removed from the Snowbird Nationals. The PDRA is thriving. Midwest Drag Racing Series is thriving. The NMCA is thriving. The NHRA across the board, it was headed in the right direction late in 2020-21. I think Pro Mod, I'm hoping for a rebound season for the NHRA Pro Mod division, and we kind of arrived. I think that our time and what we want to do as a company is we want to help these other events, sanctions, and series thrive and succeed. And when we really started to examine it, it's like, man, us putting on a race, it almost felt selfish. Like we want to do it because we want to be the ones that are putting on the race, but there's tons of great races, and we don't want to compete with Victor Alvarez. I don't want to compete with the PDRA. I want to support all these series and be a part and have more involvement in the growth and success of those events, those sanctions, those series. So anyways, it's a long way to say that we want to invest our time and energy. What's up, Scott Palmer in the house?
What's up, Scott?
The man, the myth, the legend. We want to invest our time and energy in helping other events and series be successful. So that's where we're going to focus our attention in 2022. I don't think that ship has sailed. Like I said, Stan, I don't think it'll be, I don't think we've put on our last drag race. I started putting on drag races in 2005. So it's like 16 years ago. I can't imagine my life without that. I love throwing a party, but I want it to make sense. So anyways, that's MK saying Wes put on a street race. I got to tell you, a no prep race is in our future. We will put on a no prep race. Drag Illustrated, this group that you're looking at right here, will put on a no prep race.
Are you gonna bang the light?
I'll bang the light. That's fine. I'll probably do the rich.
Oh yeah,
that's probably what I'll do.
There you go.
You know,
I'm
I'll get the tightest black
You're out.
T-shirt
There
I've
you go.
got.
Coming.
No, I'm just
Nope. Not coming.
Would you do, like, are you anti-arm drop or are you anti-Wes?
Yes, I'm absolutely anti-arm drop.
Really?
Yeah,
Good
like
things,
I've ran a couple of JJ's deals,
Mhm.
and there's way too much opportunity for hustle with an arm drop. And they do it, which it's part of their game, right? Like when JJ and those guys put on a race at any given drag strip across the country, they come there with a plan. If you're running one of their cars in any given round, they know exactly when he's going to drop his arms or they're going to leave early. Like it's all this big hustle. And I'm just
Really?
I'm just not about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dude. I mean, like I ran, I guess his wife, Trisha Wayne, whatever they call her. And,
I like
she,
women with multiple names.
like
That's
she left
Tiffany
early.
Lee.
That's something we do here in the South.
Yeah.
She
I like
left
it.
early, and like he was looking at her and made sure that as soon as she left, he dropped his arms, and then she went out there and blew the hood scoop into oblivion. And I drove around her, but like, yeah, I mean, I just don't. There's too much opportunity for hustle with the arm drop. Either a flashlight or like normal people use the timing system that the track has in place there.
True, right?
An instant green and a freaking wind light, so that Jethro from 2 houses down isn't standing at the 8th mile with some VHS video recorder, and you figure out he's focused on
Left lane by 7.
Yeah,
He was like checking a deer stand
Hooters
or
in the
something.
frickin'
Yeah.
stands up there and not the finish line. You know, like just Jesus.
Smart boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
But from what I understand, the JJ's arm drop deal is like hot like fire, though, right?
It is
I mean,
huge.
those deals.
yeah, like
Did
I
you go
won
to the one at Mooresville, Lyle?
I won it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I won
Yeah,
the one
he was
at
there
Mooresville.
too, Mike.
And
Oh,
and it
man.
was I mean it was I've never seen a crowd like that at Mooresville Dragway.
Me
ever.
neither. Yeah.
I sold
That's
like-
all I could remember from that.
I mean,
deal
I know
was-
that the merchandise sales for the Street Outlaw guys and stuff is huge, but I sold like $5,700 or something worth of beer money T-shirts at Mooresville Dragway at a
Awesome.
JJ's arm drop race. Like I ran out. I sold out of. There were people buying sizes that were not theirs. You know, I mean, it was unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking what he's doing. I'm just saying, an arm drop is just not. That's not. No, not. my-
And he's not neutral either.
What do you
Yeah.
think of the flashlight start deal?
I mean, I guess it's as close to like there's no guessing it, right? You know, like Limpy does that, like the cranium bulb or whatever he calls it. You know, he wears
Yeah.
that LED
I like
strip
that,
on his
Limpy's
actually.
in
head.
here watching tonight.
Yeah, he was in here just a second ago.
And I think that that's good because he keeps his hands behind his back.
Yep.
And like you don't ever know, you know, when somebody lifts their arm up, you know, it's pretty close to coming on, you know. So I like what
Yeah.
Limpy does. But I mean, I think the flashlight's okay. I just think that if there's a no prep race from the tree, you use the tree and you use the wind light. Like it's just no brainer.
Hey,
It's,
you
it's,
have
it's,
to-
it's
you
about
have
the
to-
show. It's about the presentation, and like we were talking about Pinks, that was about Rich Christensen, and JJ shows about him, you know, banging the
Well,
light on.
and
This
even-
show was about Big Chief doing it,
And even
I
in
mean,
Limpy's
it's a big
case,
deal.
like it is cool, you know, that he's out. But if you're watching the race from the other side of Limpy, like you don't know when the light's coming on. Like I don't know. I guess I've been drag racing traditionally or whatever you want to call it for so long that
But like, think about it. Like, if you really, I mean, and this is a little bit of a stretch, but bear with me. Like, something bad happens, you bounce off the wall or whatever, and it's like, whoa, don't use that fire extinguisher. We wouldn't have that shit if you're on the street.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, hey man, we're at the racetrack. You know what I mean? Let's take advantage of the racetrack. You
But
know?
on the
Chief
flip
used to
side-
use just a regular flashlight.
yeah.
Remember?
It's got the
And-
LED thing.
Yeah.
And then down in the New Orleans had the
I saw somebody
LED
using
one, and
like
they had that on
like
tonight.
a selfie stick. Like, I can't remember what video I was
A
watching.
selfie
Maybe it
stick.
was the video. Well, not a selfie stick. Hold on.
The light strip thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
but it was on
that's
like
what
a
they-
that's what-
tripod.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea.
You know what I mean? And he like pulled them up and both staged them. I think it was the race that Boosted was at. I think it might be from that video. Like, they had like a light on a tripod of some sort, and then he like pulled them both forward. You know, hold on. You know, like that, and then he like runs off camera, and then he's got like the light on a button. You know what I mean?
Remote.
So the best one I've seen, I went to Douglas, Georgia for a no prep race early last year, and they had what was the stand for, and it actually may have been there, and they had it covered, but they had what I think was the stand for the old tree, and they had like a floodlight screwed into a socket at the top of this deal, and there was this guy that sat in between the cars, and your crew guy would bring you in to where you needed to be, and then turbos would spool or whatever, and then your crew guy gave this dude in the middle the okay, and he had like went to Home Depot and bought like a regular old light switch in the middle, and when both guys were ready, he flipped it on, and the floodlight came on, and it was the best
Hey
one.
man,
You know, like it worked.
not all bad, man.
No,
Not all bad.
I like
Good
that.
Not
idea.
all bad. Oh, I like it. Hey, where the stand
Just
waxers
washing the
asking
inside
where
of
you
his
guys are
van
going to
out.
test? Where are you guys? I want to ask you another question. Are you all going to run the U.S. Street Nationals?
Yes.
Which car are you going to run?
So Derek Brown,
Yeah,
top sportsman racer.
heavy hitter.
Yeah, he's got a Pro Boost car that he's bringing out for PDRA next year, and I'm gonna drive it at the U.S. Street Nationals to shake it down and whatnot. It's got Todd Tutterow and YO Motorsports Noonan Power, a Pro
Really?
Charger, Turbo 400.
Really?
But so that's what we're gonna take, and then Rob Cox, we're finishing up Rob Cox conversion from twin turbo to Pro Charger at Modern as well. So simultaneously, we are finishing two cars that will both be at the U.S. Street Nationals. So yes, I'll be there, but not in something that I've driven before. So
Oh wow.
and then we'll immediately switch to NHRA prep and get ready for the Gators, obviously. So
crazy, man. It's going to be
Tons going on.
upon us. Yeah, it's
Yes.
going to be.
Are you going
upon
to
us.
test the NHRA car anywhere?
yeah, but we're gonna wait until after. There was a part of us that thought maybe we would get it already and take every freaking race car we own down there, but it's just like Ben and Mike already threaten to quit their jobs multiple times a year, and I can imagine that if we took three cars that they're probably both going to have to work on to some degree, that it would probably nail in the coffin for that deal. So as soon as we get back from the U.S. Street Nationals, we're going to test throughout February, probably due to the current weather here, Mike, as you know, there won't be any testing going on in Darlington or Virginia, so we'll probably end up back in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much the
but,
only place you can go in
but
February.
yeah, we'll start NHRA testing after the U.S. Street Nationals, no time before that.
And confirmed here on the Drag Illustrated ride along that you will be running the turbo car.
All year, we are sticking with the turbo car. I told Justin, I was like, dude, after the way that our season ended, obviously, and what we started with, unless they make some crazy rule change and, you know, yet again, the turbo cars are not competitive, I think I will stay in a turbo car for the foreseeable future anyway.
Scott
But
Palmer says to be easy on
definitely
him in
all of
Florida.
20.
Did you see that? Wow.
Who did?
Scott Palmer said be easy on me in
He
Florida.
racing with us?
He's got a pro mod.
I know. But the last time I talked to him, he was asking me how do you Simon, how do you let
There
go
it
of the
is.
trans brake? And I'm like, what do you mean? And then I realized that Scott's never let go of a trans brake until he got in that car. He's always ripped loose of the clutch, so Scott,
But yeah, he's a man.
Oh
no,
coming from a guy that shaved his beard off.
I'm just playing.
But anyway, Scott, I'm just going to tell you, if you pull up beside me in any given round, I'm cutting your
There
head
it is.
smooth off of
He
your
said-
shoulders.
Yep.
Fuck
Breaking
yes,
news.
I am.
Yeah. Do you what do you think of what do you make of the screw blower deal? We're like 2 months post screw blower announcement, thereabouts. We saw Brandon Snyder, definitely a heavy hitter in the NHRA Pro Mod Series, show up at the the Snowbird Nationals with the roots with the screw. How many teams? I mean, or what are you hearing? What's the gossip?
Well, from what I
Drop some knowledge
understand,
on us.
from what I understand, Brandon's out for NHRA. From
really?
what I understand, he's going Midwest Pro Mod Racing. The NHRA deal is just he's
Okay.
tough to afford
that's
it.
big news. It is
Losing a little, I don't think he's gotten his sponsorship back that he had before. Whatever. From what I understand, he's not coming back. So you lose one there. I've heard rumor that we're going to gain one for sure. Well, actually,
full timer.
Yeah, actually, I know that because the car's in the shop, but I don't know if they're releasing that
that's
yet. So
public.
I'll
Yeah,
let
I
that happen
understand.
later. But so there, we're at a squash, right? And I don't know of any others. To my knowledge, there are 0 guys that have screw blown combinations that are coming to race with us that I've heard of. I know there are some teams talking about switching over and or testing to see, but I have heard of 0 others that are. I figured there's probably 1 or maybe 2 that I haven't heard about, and maybe we'll see a couple come in.
Yeah, figure there's one maybe, but I'm curious, honest opinion, Lyle. How can that not be? And I've got close friends over there, but how can that not be a bit of a black eye, right? I mean, to make this rule, to defy the Larry Cunningham in the house tonight. What's up, Larry? He's right. They had screws at a mass. They had screw blowers at
By
a massive
design.
disadvantage.
Well, yeah,
by
that's
design.
right.
By design.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's 2 ways to look at that.
But I'm just curious, because personally, I'm going, okay, we allow this. We change the rules. Everybody kind of felt like things were stabilizing. Then we're going to throw this wrench in the gears and introduce screw blowers. And now we're basically talking here tonight that there's maybe one car.
But Lyle's talked about this on here before. That they basically told him that when they needed, right?
That's our problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is when we met in my pit Indy earlier or in the middle of last year. Well, in September of last year, they asked us, and Stevie Jackson was the first one to speak up. The boys were there and spoke up. There were several that spoke up in the meeting that had something to say. Well, then we took a unanimous vote, right? It was, what do you guys think? And there was not one hand that went up that said the screw blower is the way to go, or yes, we want to see that. Not one. And I mean, there were 40 people in my pit, and not a single person said, not even maybe. It was a unanimous no.
I think they had already decided before that vote,
and I do too now.
Oddly enough, but
then
I think it was already done, and I think that this is what they expected.
One, they're not listening. Why even ask us? If
that was strange.
Why?
I think that they expected to have one or none at the start of the season, and maybe
against. In the chat, they're asking.
Oh, am I for against? What
no,
what are you asking?
they were asking what was
the vote. Everyone
voted against.
It was a unanimous no to the screw blower. Do not let the screw blower in. And Stevie elaborated. He probably talked for 5 minutes straight, which I know it doesn't sound like a long time, but it's not like they didn't spend all day. They spent 30 minutes with us or something. And Stevie talked about why, and how we have trouble with parity with what we've got. We're adding another wrench in this, blah, blah. He went on and on and on, and then the money, with the roots blown deal, there's these lease programs, and it's all about getting the right blower, blah, blah, blah. He went on and on. But anyway, we all voted no, and then they bring out the new rule set, and it's allowed. And obviously at first we were all like, what the fuck? Why did you even ask us? What's the point of the rules committee on, but they did the opposite. They brought it in opposite the way that they did the Pro Charger. They kind of let the Pro Charger in with the cuffs off, right? Like, just come in there and start hauling ass, and we'll see if we can slow you down, So they brought the screw blower in on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, like a 390 rear gear, 75 over. It weighs like 4,200 pounds. Not really. It weighs 2,750 or 60. I mean, it's super heavy. And I think the first thing they're going to do is probably two things: give them some gear back, and then they're probably going to start pulling a little weight off. And that's I guess you could say a cheap way to bring them up to speed, right? The rule changes they made with the Pro Charger, we've talked about this before too, all year long. Some of the rule changes cost teams over $100,000, because they thought slowing the blower down, well, we'll just slow the blower down and it'll slow them down. Well, no, we went from turning the motors 9,300 to 10.5, right? And then you had to change.
Which is never the answer. Like,
no.
If slowing the car, that there's no quicker way to expedite blowing shit up than turning them 10,500 RPM. Right.
And it literally changed everything from bumper to bumper. You changed camshaft, compression ratio, you changed transmission ratios, converters, rear gear. Like, it changed everything. And it was like, when they made that rule change, they never thought about that. They just made it after Jose, and they went 62 in Gainesville and just flat floorboarded the field out there. Not the best thing for the class, but they did it, and that was the NHRA's response. And at the time, I was running a Pro Charger, and we were all like, what do we do now? But they really did the best that they could do at the time to try to just keep what little bit of car count we had left. At least they were showing some kind of effort. It may not have been the right way, but they did try. I'll give them that.
There was a question in here.
There's a lot to unpack on that, but
there is
the Pro Charger deal. Yeah, that we've talked about that. It is opposite than how they've treated things in the past. The screw blower deals. Well, I guess turbos were kind of like that, weren't they, Wes? When they first let them in, it was like, just do whatever, because they were so far behind the curve.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the Charger was approached, but it's like they were not as far off as maybe they thought. Maybe it's just a whole different era with technology, automatic transmissions. These cars go down the track. We talked about that, how there's so many fewer aborted runs. They learn so much quicker. So there's a lot to it, but I kind of feel like it's the only thing that makes sense for NHRA to do this is to try to increase car count. And I wonder if it's the first domino in an eventual move to 8th mile.
Yeah, what do you think of that? Real quick, and I think some of this got answered in the comments, but MK asks, watching on YouTube, thank you for that. If you guys are watching along, make sure you subscribe to our Drag Illustrated YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys. Seriously, it means a ton to us. Thank you for watching. Screw blower is like a top fuel blower. No, this was answered, but yeah, top fuel cars use like a setback Roots style supercharger, named after the Roots brothers that designed Roots style superchargers a long time ago to ventilate mine shafts. But
just
that's a whole other thing. No, but screw blowers are like a sealed unit, and they are just like, I don't think there's any better way to understand how good screw blowers are beyond the fact that they're pretty much banned everywhere. Like, that's how good they are. And that was my conversation, to your point, Lyle. Whenever I talked to Stevie Jackson about screw blowers, this has been like middle of last year, well before there was a rumor going around. This is pre-Indy meeting with the ProMod group. There was a rumor going around that NHRA was going to allow screw blowers for 2022. And I was like, oh, no way. And Stevie, somehow, some way, we ended up on the phone, and he's like, hey, do you think that they're actually going to do this? And I said, man, no way. Like, everywhere
you're thinking
blowers
they're going to let them in Unchained. We've only seen like an outlaw version of it. You know what I mean?
Well, and everywhere they go, they ruin everything. I mean, literally everywhere screw blowers go, typically they are the dominant combination and they ruin everything. Like everybody's got to get one. And that was Stevie's argument that like all you're going to do is force all of us to switch to that. And you're going to have the same problem you have now, but with a different, instead of pro chargers, switching to pro chargers, you're going to have everybody switching to screw blowers. So it's not going to really be any different. And you're going to make a whole bunch of people spend more money when they've already spent a bunch of money. And it's a really, really, really interesting thing. And I don't know what I don't know what the end goal is. And that's part of I think that's the question that needs to be answered. Like, what do we really want to have happen with NHRA Pro Mod? Is it a move to 8th mile eventually? Because maybe somehow, some way this makes sense. I don't think it does even then.
No,
but it
not
really
with
is
the current rules.
Not with the current rules, you know?
No, I don't. I mean, I would hate to see it go that direction. I mean, I understand. Like, we would instantly like double or triple our car count. I mean, realistically. But it no longer, in my opinion, it no longer makes racing in the NHRA elite anymore.
Yeah. I've had
Like,
conversations where people ask that same thing, and I have that same answer. It would fix your car count problem, but it would take away the one thing that
it's not
sets it apart
prestigious. You know, like
right now.
I just don't.
Every other pro mod organization runs 8th mile.
Right.
So.
And not that these wouldn't mean anything, you know, like it's still, they would still feel, I guess, somewhat the same, but like there's nothing compares. I mean, I've never raced quarter mile ever until I raced NHRA Pro Mod, you know, and like there's something about it, and it appeals not only to me, but mainly to the people that were there to entertain, right? Like, you're not.
Yeah, it's gonna look. It's not gonna look good.
No,
Yeah,
it's
we
just
talked about
like
that. It doesn't
just
look
like
good.
you talked about
circling
earlier.
back to
Right.
circling
When
back to Mike's point, it
looks
ain't gonna
incomplete.
look right.
No,
If
it
you
won't.
go running these cars at VMP 8th mile or
Imagine
Z-Max
going to
8th mile.
Z-Max and watching 4 pro mods run to the 8th mile.
Yeah.
Do we
They all
make the
shut it
early
off early,
turnoff?
folks.
I'll make the early
Yeah,
turnoff.
I mean,
No problem.
They had
know,
an
like-
XDRL race at Z-Max back in the day, an 8th mile race. We've raced 8th mile there at Z-Max. Yeah, I mean,
I've raced 8th mile there. But
it doesn't. What would make it even worse is if every other car on the property, save for the fuel cars, are running quarter mile, and then it's like, here's pro mod, guys. Heads up, this class runs 8th mile. It's the only class on the property that's doing that, and that to me would create mass confusion and revolt from the fans. So I don't know
like
what the answer
8th
is
mile
on that,
racing, but I do appreciate Luke's point on this. Mike, we'll go around the room here. Mike, your dad, you know, Charles Carpenter, the godfather of Pro Mod. I mean, you guys were a part of, and you witnessed a lot of that, like the IHRA heyday, right? Like the 4850 cars at Rockingham for Pro Mod. I mean, you watched all of that unfold, but you also watched the rise and fall of the ADRL, Pro Nitrous, Pro Extreme, you know, those cars, but on the Outlaw 8th mile. Your dad also traveled coast to coast, right? And it seems like the 8th mile versus quarter mile thing is very regional. Like out on the West Coast, they don't speak 8th mile. Like it doesn't compute. In Lyle's neck of the woods, 8th mile racing is prevalent. I mean, it's everything. So I'm just curious, like, what do you make of that? Like, it's so polarizing. People are really, really, really passionate about. I mean, Danny Rowe, an early mentor of mine, big supporter of Drag Illustrated, he was my partner for a long time, great guy, raced NHRA Pro Mod forever. He literally looked me in the face and he said, dude, I would rather stop racing than race 8th mile. Like, that's literally what he told me. He's like, I would rather not race than race 8th mile. But that's how strongly people feel about it.
Right.
He said that about clutches, though, too, right? And
yeah, and the fact that
before he went
a lot of these quarter mile tracks have gone to 8th mile because the cars are going so fast. So even a former quarter mile track, even on the West Coast, I mean, I can't speak for any specifically, but just due to the fact that the facilities were built in the 50s when the cars were going literally half as fast as they are now, they has forced the move to 8th mile. I feel like it's become more accepted because of ADRL. I think that that's the first thing that took that southern thing and sort of spread it around the map a little bit, even though if it didn't go all the way to the far left coast, it took it to the Midwest and to other areas and sort of made a roaming series out of that. Someone in the comments said No Prep Kings is 8th Mile. I agree with that too. The thing about No Prep Kings is they put on a show, though. In that 8th Mile, they are moving side to side. They're doing a lot of action in that 8th mile. So I think
not all the tracks that they race at are quarter mile.
Yeah, not all of them. A lot of them, but not all of them. And that's the thing. It's all about the scale. Someone said, I'm only a fan of 8th Mile if it's on an 8th mile track. And that is my official stance too. If you watch 8th Mile on a small,
if you watch it at Huntsville,
track, that's where ADRL started. We went to Huntsville. Yes. We went to Montgomery. We went to, name some more. I can't think of it all the top of my head, but we went to 8th Mile only tracks, and it's like, holy shit, this is on the edge. And then you go to a quarter mile, and it just doesn't have the same feel. Then you introduce crazy track prep, automatic transmissions. On down the line with all the technology, traction control, everything that we've got now. And it's taken, we talked about it with Boosted earlier. It's taken that violence out of it. And that's what we're wanting to see. NFL struggling with it too. You talked about football. They're on this line between not getting people killed or CTE on the field and still maintaining a violent game that's attractive to people to watch. And that's the same thing that we're facing in drag racing. Creating a violent, interesting, on the edge show with these outlaws versus not getting people killed and taking unnecessary risks.
This comment here from Top Fuel, like I get the difference, but if the difference is that other classes are going to be running the quarter, and it's going to look different from the stands if you're running.
Well, if you're, I think it's complexity that's not needed. It'd be like having. Like 4 games playing on the NFL network this Sunday, right? And 2 of them are 100-yard fields. And then one of them's a 75-yard field and one of them's a 50-yard field. Like that level, that's where people get lost. And that has long since been one of drag racing's, like, kind of a chink in the armor has been, it's so complicated and so complex that it's hard to be a casual fan of our sport. Like, because you don't know what the fuck, it's hard to figure out what's going on because there's all these different variations of our sport. And that's part of the magic, right? Because you can get in where you fit in, but it's also it struggles. It hurts us when it comes to growing, you know what I mean? Because it's so complicated. And you try to explain to somebody like why that car is shutting off at half track and that one's running to the scoreboards. And that is a real issue that exists in our sport.
I think the answer is whatever puts on the best show. And that's what we're watching right here with Farmtruck and Asian. They started on the original show on the list, right? And then they realized this is not, as this deal gets quicker and faster and they're doing more traditional drag racing, essentially, this is not our deal. Our deal is character, personality, builds, being crazy. So now they've got their own show that focuses on that. And it's about, putting on entertaining shows. And that's whatever makes for the most entertainment and the best show is what is going to move the needle for drag racing. We talked about it with football. Football just rules the world. What were those ratings that we looked at?
Oh, those ratings are crazy, right?
Yeah. And how football just rules the world. But if, like you said, Wes, if everybody was playing on a different field, I don't think you'd have that same level. The attraction of most of these sports is that everyone is playing on the same size field with the same size ball with all the same rules. And in drag racing, especially, we're just quick to just make our own rules to fit the car or the situation that we have. And I think that's a problem.
Georgia just pulled off a huge run.
Let's go.
What's the score?
6-9 right now. Alabama's leading, but they just probably, what was that? Probably,
man, I'm not a college football
60-yarder.
What?
Never.
Yeah, man, they just ripped off a big.
See, one. I'm not an NFL person.
It's just I don't know. It's a huge difference between like what we saw yesterday.
I'm both.
On that what NFL can do in a day on a Sunday with all those games coming down to the wire like that and having all that excitement, and then this game could just be an epic blowout. You know what I mean? College is just full of one-sided games, and that's always driven me crazy.
They're on about the 13. Oh,
But to each their own. There are some good games. There's some epic college football games, like the national championship from 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. What about the Clemson championship?
Boo.
Yeah, I knew you're gonna have
That is
something to say
funny
about
that they've
that.
got this thing. They're towing this thing.
They're gonna let it go, and he's gonna drive it. That's what the premise is.
They let it go right there. Yep. Look, everybody is like pulling over.
Yeah, this is fucking hilarious.
And he's swerving on purpose.
Do not try this at home or anywhere
It's
else.
my God.
extremely dangerous.
Some guy's just like laughing out the side of his window. I think,
Have you?
"Goddamn, I
I'm
want
sure
me
you
one of them,
have.
boys."
Have y'all seen the YouTube video where they put Asian in that office chair and strap him in? And
We
then
we
turn
watched
to
it
watched
last
it last week on the show when they were with us. Yeah. He
That's
probably-
is that the funniest thing ever? I think that's the funniest video.
It's funny, but
Oh,
he's
here they
lucky
do
it
it
didn't
again.
kill
Here
him.
they go again.
They didn't really want to talk about it last week when we pulled it up. They were
Yeah,
like,
I think it was
just
a bad
next.
deal. I think it was bad.
Yeah.
I think they thought they about killed him.
I mean, it.
Oh
It
my
was
God,
very
this is
close.
hilarious. I want one of these things so bad.
Dude, this is pretty funny.
JT, you don't have a hair on your ass if you don't dress your golf cart up like that and play golf with it.
There's no scarier thing in the world to think
Oh
about
my
your
God,
trailer.
dude.
it's like they're going
Your trailer
to the inter-
disconnecting on the highway. There's just that's the never had it happen, but that would be the worst thing of all time.
Dude, have you ever lost a trailer? I have.
I have.
And, it's
Yeah, I lost a small one.
I lost
I did
a
too with
small
both
one
of my
with
jet skis on
dad's-
it.
I lost a small one with my father's prize John Deere riding lawnmower on it. You'd have thought this guy was going to beat me to death.
Did it
I mean,
destroy it?
he was not even that bad. I mean, kind of, but not that bad.
Oh, they
And it
just
was
left
like-
it. They just left it in a drive-through.
F&A, bro.
F&A, bro.
I know they're gonna race someone.
His dog in their ass.
It runs pretty good.
Oh yeah,
For a
that's
camper,
that is hilarious for a
that-
camper.
for a
You said
camper.
for a
You know.
But yeah, I crossed a set of railroad tracks pulling both of my jet skis one time, and the trailer came off, and it exited stage right, crossed over this ditch, and the trailer, the hitch just stovepiped in the bank, and both jet skis came off the front and went out through this old woman's yard, just
Oh,
parked out there in
man.
front of her house.
My
God.
dad had told me to go to his house and mow his yard, and I was like, well, I mean, it was our yard. I lived there at the time. I think I was like 17, and I was in my dad's white crew cab dually, 96 Chevy dually crew cab, good looking white lowered cowl hood, nice. And I got this little lawnmower trailer on it, and like I said, his prized possession, John Deere mower. And I'm going down Osteopathy Street in Kirksville, Missouri, and it goes a little S curve, jogs down this big hill, and I'm going down the hill, not even like going fast, going like it's a school zone or whatever, a hospital or whatever. So your speed limit's like 20. And so I slow down. I'm probably going 30, going down this hill, and I take the left to go around this sweeping corner, and I see the trailer go past us. I look over, I'm like, what the fuck? And it goes beyond us, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Boom, hits a telephone pole. And fortunately, the telephone pole saved us because it was headed into a cemetery where who knows what all it was going to tear up or hit. But it hit the telephone pole, and it stopped abruptly. I had the thing strapped down pretty good, but it slid the old John Deere riding lawnmower up that we'd went and got in Richmond, Missouri. It was like my dad's. It was literally, I think the best thing that ever happened to my dad ever was getting this John Deere mower. Like it was the best thing. 48-inch deck, blah, blah. I don't even, I mean, he was so proud of this thing. It was unbelievable. And it tore it up pretty good. It like, not that bad. Some body work, screwed up the front end on it or whatever. But
Could you still mow with it?
No, but soon you could mow with it, like not 6 months, you know what I mean? Like one rough day at the shop and we were back mowing, but you'd have thought I killed his children. I mean, I think he would have been less upset if I would have fallen out of the truck at 30 miles per hour and
100%.
Rolled into a telephone pole.
Here's a guy that used to pick up Oscar Mayer in Kirksville in the comments.
Yeah, man. That's right out there on Industrial Road. That's
just about a mile from where he's talking about.
Yeah, about a mile away. Yeah.
We've had this question. I don't know what the HRA is.
Dude, I Googled it. Like, I'm not even
HRA
keeps asking about it.
That's an old school deal from like the 70s or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, American Hot Rod Association back in the day was like, you know, it was a big deal. Like, pro stock was very significant in the HRA. From what I can gather in this moment, the HRA has a Tumblr account, which I don't know that Tumblr is still a thing. Like, I found Tumblr, but I'm not able to really find anything else. Like, I think what this is the American Hot Rod Association has 3,700 members.
Wow.
AHRA online.
Go.
So creating and developing the best sportsman drag racing experience. I don't know much about it.
So they're relaunching it, rebranding it?
They must be. So it looks like they're having a race in Hawaii, Sikeston, Missouri, Hertford,
can we go to that
North
race?
Carolina.
Wes, you would have sent us out there to that one. I'll cover it.
Webster, Ohio.
Mike, you want to go?
Yeah, I do.
I'm down.
You in? You guys all in?
I'm in.
All right. We're going to Hawaii for the first HRA race.
I don't know a ton about it, man, to be honest with you guys. And
Wes is completely ignoring us.
He is.
No, I heard you. I'll send y'all to. If y'all want to go to Hawaii, we can go. I'm good.
All right. You heard it here, folks.
You heard it here. Yeah. Some guys do take their John Deere's serious. That's a fact.
Hey,
man.
have you ever? I don't know about you guys, but like I looked at the two little chains that are the safety chains or whatever on the hitch.
They're ripping off no matter what.
On like a giant stacker. Yeah. Have you ever looked at those and just thought?
Yeah, it's like
I don't want to. I don't want to test that because I don't think that shit is going to work.
Small trailer. It's like
they will.
Whatever. It's. For
I
safety,
look at those
right?
sometimes, and it's like, have you seen this trailer? Like, there is nothing that's going to hold it to that. Like, if it decides to leave, like that meme. If it comes off this hitch.
It's like that meme with the Cheeto in the door lock, and it's like, you know what I'm talking about? The police are on the other side with the.
You got one crunchy Cheeto through there.
When I lost my little trailer, I had some weight on the back, so the tongue went up, and I was going. Wes knows what I'm talking about. I was going down Old 63, just outside of La Plata, and I look over in this field back to the dog pens there. We used to party there, Wes, and I look over at this field, and the trailer is going through, like passing me. You know, going through this field, and I'm like,
that trailer looks
what the hell?
Just like
I'm like, oh shit, that's my trailer. You know, like, it takes you a little bit to realize.
It does.
You're looking in your mirrors, you're like, oh shit. You know? And it's so muddy that it just sat there for weeks, you know, because
I tell you what, I got a good one. I was like 17, 18-ish, and my dad sent me to Kansas City, Missouri to pick up a customer's car. So this would happen a lot. My dad would literally do things for customers that he barely knew that he wouldn't do for like me or my brother or anybody. He'd call me and be like, hey, so-and-so, he's a doctor. They called, their car's broken down in Kansas City. I'm like, that is 200 miles from here. He's like, well, I told him you'd come pick it up and we'd bring it back here and we'd fix it and we'd bring it back to Kansas City because their kid's in college or whatever. And I'm like, my dad runs a repair shop for those that don't know. Anyways, he sent me to Kansas City to pick up this Lincoln Continental one time. I go get it. My dad had this badass, still has it to this day, white in little open trailer with a badass nice cabinet on the front of it, electric winch, really nice trailer, low slung, easy to get cars up on. You don't have to jack them. You know, you don't have to jack the front of the trailer way up because it's so low. Anyways, I go get this car, fuel pumps out of it, whatever, can't get it to start. I beat on the fuel tank forever, finally get the car to start, drive it on the trailer, get it strapped down or whatever, and head back to Missouri. We're heading back into town, and you remember the old train tracks on La Harpe that everybody used to jump like when we were in high school? Well, they took the train tracks out, but the ramp, the hill is still there. So anyways, I was driving along, and you know how you kind of get like I just turned off the highway and took La Harpe, headed to Buck Brothers, and I hit that. I wasn't even thinking, you know what I mean? Like the car's strapped down. I hit that trailer, that train tracks, and I hear this kaboom, and I feel the truck like jerk. And I'm like, "Fuck, what was that?" So I look over and pull off, and that Crown Vic is half on the trailer, half off. It had come unstrapped when we hit that, come unhooked, and it in the rocker panels were caved in. I'm like, fuck, we've totaled this thing. Because I mean, it's not like you can just put rockers on a Lincoln Continental. Like, we're gonna have to call this guy and be like, hey, Wes totaled your car, you know. Anyways, I couldn't get it. I tried backing it up and trying to get the rear wheels on the ground so I could get a little bit of traction and drive back up on the trailer. Me and my buddy were trying to push it on the trailer. We couldn't get it on there for anything. I had to call for help, and we ended up getting it back on there, and I got in big trouble. Yeah, I got in big
there's a comment
trouble.
in there's a comment here that says you ever had a wheel pass you on the highway, and man, I have like just lifted up the truck, 4-inch lift, you know, going down the road. Just they must not have got the shit tightened down, man. And look, they're just like boof, and you look over, and then the wheel passes me. I'm like, shit.
We had that happen.
Ground the rotor completely down.
We had that happen on my dad's rig going through Detroit. We're going through the middle of Detroit, like downtown Detroit.
That's great.
Yeah, this was great. In winter on the way to race in Canada, and my dad's complaining about the roads. This is the worst roads I've ever been on in my life. Oh my God, this is atrocious. And then we just look over and just see like the middle tire off the middle axle on our trailer just rolling up beside us in the middle. My dad's like, that looks like our wheel. Oh, that is our damn wheel. We had to pull over. You'll love this. We pulled over, got the Geo out, and went back reverse.
They called these guys
on the
out
shoulder in the Geo to go get this damn thing, and then took it
threw
to a
it in
truck
the back
stop.
of the yellow Geo.
It sheared the lugs right off.
Are you watching this? They called these guys out to like race them with the trailers on, and then the Dodge took off, and then the trailer pulls up next to them. You're like, what in the hell?
I've got to admit, they've done a good job. I'm in deep, says Dominator. Dude, that thing about yanked the front wheels off the ground.
What's it got in it? We missed that part.
Some sort of small block with nitrous.
Yeah.
What'd it run?
98, 13, 16.
Oh, that's pretty salty.
Almighty.
Freaking camper. 100 mile an hour in a damn camper.
That's funny.
Okay, that was pretty good. That's pretty good, man.
We lost a wheel off of an enclosed trailer one time on the way back from, I think, South Georgia one time. And Dad's barely got his eyes open driving. I've been asleep for 2 hours. And he's like, what are they trying to say? What are they trying? And I look over and it's these 2 Hispanic guys in a truck, and they're like, pointing back. So we pull over, and they pull over, and they're like, hey, you lost a wheel and tire, you know. And we go back and look, damn sure did. And we're like, where'd it go? And he was like, oh, back there off of that bridge, you know. So Dad and I are like, oh, fuck. So we turn around and go back, and we circle back around, and we're coming back up the interstate, and we get to this bridge that it went off, and we look over the side, and there's a trailer park down there where that thing exited. Dad's like, God, can you imagine laying in bed off the trailer wheel and tire just comes right through the roof? No.
Kevin Stevenson put in here that he lost one attached to, I lost a rear wheel with the axle attached on the main in Madison, Illinois. Took out the window of the Quick Trip.
I lost a love seat. I was taking the couch and love seat, and I had the love seat like set on top, you know, flipped upside down, and the strap came undone. I lost it on 435 in Kansas City, and I get to where we're moving in Lee Summit. And, you know, it's about 8 o'clock at night, and it's dark, and I'm like, oh my God, that love seat. And Stacy goes, "You're gonna go back and try to find it?" I go, "Fuck no, I'm not showing up with a matching couch. It's probably a pile up." You know, oh my God.
Somebody smoked that.
Yeah, I guarantee you. There's no way I'm showing up with a matching
fluff
couch.
left.
No, you gotta just whenever that happens, you just gotta she gone.
She gone.
Yep, she gone.
Yeah, drive faster.
Oh, that is hilarious though. Those are, oh my gosh. I had a guy pull up beside me one time. He's going, Fire! The trailer with tire was on fire.
Oh, do you remember Stacy burnt my camper down and my brand new
I
Tahoe?
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time I got there, we were all drunk at the state fair, and she called. She goes, she's with like 8 women.
Drank the whole way there.
And yeah, I guarantee they did. And 8 women have everything they possibly own in that camper and Tahoe, and it caught on fire somehow. And the guys were trying to help her get it off. They couldn't get it off. By the time the tanks went, and when I showed up, it was a shell, with 2 frame rails out the back, and melted the wheels off and everything. I mean, and I had to sound like an arsenal because I
know what JT went. He went
of ammunition in there.
No more camper.
Yeah. Wasn't my camper. That was someone else's.
This is the story you told the insurance, right? It's the same story.
Yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to tell them?
I want to make sure you got your story straight.
I mean, I did probably tell them I had a couple of extra set of golf clubs and shit in there, but
you said it burnt down your Tahoe too?
Oh yeah. Like there was nothing left but the shell sitting on its axles, the springs from where the seats were, and the wiring harness in the front. Yeah.
Damn. When was that?
Oh man, I don't know. 15, 20 years ago.
Oh,
20,
okay.
Yeah, probably 20 years ago. Probably.
I haven't heard that story since I've known you.
Hebrew Hillbilly, which is a fantastic username. I'm going to go ahead and throw out there. Why did Pro Stock Truck get combined to Compliminator? Wow. We're going from towing stories.
Pro Stock Truck.
It didn't really get combined. Pro Stock Truck just got shut down.
Yeah.
Kind of a tough. It's like one of the fable kind of like legendary NHRA stories of where there was like a huge lawsuit. It was a really, really big bad deal in a lot of different ways. But yeah, tough deal.
Maybe what you're seeing is just old Pro Stock trucks that are running comp eliminator.
Yeah, which is very common. I think Pro Stock trucks are some of the best looking race cars. Like,
yeah, that whole deal is a shame, man. They should do a documentary on that and some of the racers that competed in that class. I mean, that deal was awesome.
Well, Todd Beavis, who I guess built most of those chassis, right? I mean, he works at
he built a bunch of them. Yeah.
It was going to be a whole new avenue for a lot of people. And
I think that there was like all this factory money, right? There was Ford Rangers, Dodge Durango, or Dodge little, whatever those called, Dakotas, thank you. The Chevy trucks, the Chevy S10s. I mean, it was a big, big deal. And the issue was that all these teams put engine programs together. I mean, they're like buying shops, buying CNC machines, hiring people to build those 358 cubic inch splayed valve small blocks, right? And which was it was a big deal, man. It was a huge thing going on. Rick Jones raced one, I mean, Roy Hill had one. I mean, there were people diving into that, building their careers on that type of racing. And then NHRA decided to do away with the class. And there was all these people that had invested millions of dollars into this scene. And they filed, I guess, like what amounts to a class action lawsuit.
Did Jerry Haas have one too?
NHRA. Yeah, Jerry Haas had one. He had he built a buku amount of them. But you remember like the iconic orange fade to white S10 trucks that were sponsored by Chevrolet? I mean, it was a big deal, man.
And they didn't even make it a full season, right? I mean, they squashed it within a season, did they not?
I think it made it more than one season.
Yeah.
Wasn't it kind of popular?
Very.
I mean, why'd they squash it so quick?
You know what? I don't know what the reason was for squashing it. Let's see if okay, so this is an article from 2001. In releasing its 2002 schedule, the National Hot Rod Association announced it's dropping the Pro Stock Truck category. We had 5 professional categories: Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock Trucks, and Pro Stock Motorcycles. And with media and TV coverage, it's hard to accommodate all that, says Tom Compton, then president. The NHRA. So basically, it looks like they did away with it for time. for the time.
There's more to it than that.
I'm sure there was, yeah. But I'm trying to look and see Pro Stock Truck Association response to class elimination. What
they call potential grounding?
I can't believe it, Greg Stanfield said. It's crazy. This is Aaron Stanfield, NHRA, legend, or NHRA Pro Stock ace right now. There's been a lot of speculation in the last couple of months, but to cancel the class with only 5 races left in the season is like a kick in the groin. What are we supposed to do now? I have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, season and a half.
Ooh, that's close.
Wild deal.
I switched gears
really
to the game now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch the rest of this.
Yeah, Lyle said he would only join us unless it was a good game, and if it was a good game, we had to let him go. So,
and it's 13-12.
Yeah.
Seriously, thank you all so much for being a part of this. We appreciate you guys joining us on a Monday night. I know there's a lot of things to do on a Monday night, a lot of ways to spend your time, and we truly appreciate that you choose to spend it with us. So, on behalf of Mike, Murder Tundra, Lyle Barnett, Chris Boosted, GT Hamilton, and myself, thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember, this Wednesday, the Wes Buck Show, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be joined by, we may get a few minutes with Lyle to talk about the cover of Drag Illustrated, but we are going to have Victor Alvarez, promoter of the U.S. Street Nationals at Bradenton Motorsports Park, on with us from 3 to 4.
Who's killing it?
Who's killing it across the board. We're going to have a ton of fun. We'll see you guys Wednesday. We dropped, did we break some news today? Did that release go out, Mike? Do you know? If not, it'll go out tomorrow.
No, we tomorrow morning is what we decided.
Okay. Tomorrow morning, we got some major, exciting breaking news. Stay tuned to Drag Illustrated across all social, dragillustrated.com. We got a big one tomorrow. So anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Shoot supervisors, don't go dogs.
Go dogs. I want the dogs to win big time. Thank you, guys.
But you'll end up rooting for whoever does win.
Yeah.
Probably
got Bama jerseys in the closet.
Yeah. When
I don't have a Bama
when the Dallas Cowboys put 50 points up the other day, I was like, oh my God, Wes is ordering jerseys and hats. And, gosh,
got to get geared up, man.
I'm like, oh my God.
I like teams that score a lot of points. Points are important, right? And I just think that whenever there's a lot of them, I get excited. So whatever, lots of points. I'm a points guy. So sorry. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Like to win. Oh man, damn.
We've had to learn to not deal without points here in Carolina. Right, Lyle?
I don't watch Panthers anymore.
I try to talk Mike into coming over to the Chiefs side. At least be like the AFC team for him.
I never really considered that, JT. I appreciate that offer.
Yeah,
I'm going to consider it.
Go Steelers, says Hilljet Nitro Shack.
They're only the second
He's
worst
got
team
the
in the league.
sunglasses. He's got the Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's got the
sunglasses.
Mahomes glasses. Kind of
That's all I got. Mahomes. Don't have his talent.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you all.
You guys get about the same beard, though. So
yeah, we do. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, almost identical.
Yeah. See y'all.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.